All right, Greg's right in the center. No, man, you're good. You're the content, bro.
Yo, that's jokes.
You're the subject.
It's a nice shirt, man. I don't know. Like, why you just give this to me? Like, you can't. This is sick.
509 Threads.
This one's sick.
That's yours, homie.
With the ill at will in the back.
That's yours, homie.
This is nasty. Plus, like summer camp. I like this.
It's mine too.
Hold on, man. It's not like wide enough. Hold on.
Look at that.
Damn, this is kind of sick. Yo, Charlie in the shot. Yo, you join our convo, man.
Oh shit, I'm conversing.
Yeah, join our convo.
Conversating.
Yo,
Staying
Talking hip
humble.
hop. Conversating.
yo, this is dope.
It's not bad, right?
Yo,
Yeah.
that hat and that red cup, bro, crazy. That hat and red cup.
So if you came in a little bit more, it would be in this shot too.
Damn, we got angles, Jim. The fuck?
Am I still good?
Yeah, it's sick.
So check that one out.
Yo, what the fuck is happening?
Why not? Episode 1.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
the
you're still
fuck?
good.
Yeah, you're not good though. Hold on. Oh,
Good?
He's in there.
Yeah. What should I sit there?
Yeah,
We good.
Yeah.
I wish I was there. How was summer camp 19?
Is
You
it
can
recording?
join us this year. 6 years later. I think it's recording one now. Right?
Recording.
Recording 1.
Conversation.
Recording
Oh.
Can I? Like what? Speak during the day. I might be off work.
2. Whenever you're free, man, during the day. Yeah.
Well, in the evenings. That's a.
Yeah, during the day, it'll be 2 weeks in July, 2 weeks in August.
Oh wow.
Let's send you the dates. Come on in, bro.
Oh yeah.
I can barely
Ooh,
see you.
I got invited.
So this is our episode 1.
Like my quick take on this camera is gonna be the awkward one. So yeah, what I was saying was, man,
All the zoom ins.
so sometimes you really have to consider.
Like when someone drops something, you just kind of.
I see you.
All right.
I see you.
Where we at?
Intensive care unit. I see you.
Ooh, I see you. I see
I've
you.
been flipping words, man.
Hospital bars.
Awesome hospital.
Hospital bars, bro.
Yo, that's actually a bar. I'm about to use that.
Wow, that
LHSC.
Yeah. I can't. I don't come up with that. I have to come up with an April.
London Hip Hop Science Center.
With the damn London.
Oh man.
What is
LHHSC.
What were we talking about with the kids? Hip hop? I forget what it was.
Oh, what's hip hop?
Yeah, that was one. But there was another one. Oh man. Hop. There's something about
Please quote me.
hip opportunity.
Oh, hip hop. Hip hop is it?
Hip opposite. Yeah.
It was the opposite, yeah. It was. We won't say the names. We don't drop names on this. We just talk about experience. So, you know, it's hip hop.
That's pretty good.
That's
London
a
Hip
drop.
Hop Science Center is.
Let's talk about that.
You don't think about your health.
Yeah. Spend your money on your health so you can live longer.
Like, who's humble?
Oh man, they're too quick, man. So we asked the kids, like, who do you think here? Who's the most calm one of the group here? And there's like 3 or 4 just kind of looking around, like,
Like,
I'm
I'm
calm. No.
Like no one pointed at someone else.
Nah. They just like.
No, like, who believes that they are the calmest one here?
Oh, the calmest.
Calmest one of the group.
And then, and then last hand to go up is like, I'll volunteer.
I guess me.
I suppose I could take the title.
So like Greg and I have been chatting about this for a long time. We still continue to talk about it in the car whenever I'm dropping them off. We're like just debriefing, going over hip hop shit. And you know, oftentimes like it's chats on like, yo, Charlie came through with the pizza.
Sorry.
Always clutch. And like just honestly, like it's us reflecting on like the day, the week, the month so far. And it's wild how like we're making this happen. This organic growth that we've been in in the community that's forming without doing too much of like the typical push and the marketing and this kind of like advertising.
You guys are showing up.
Yes, showing up is
It's a
like
huge
definitely
part.
the most important part. And we have people that are showing up.
A lot of people just don't show up, man.
No.
And that's the thing too, right? Over promising, under delivering. It's like, yo, we're gonna set off to do this, set off to do that. Especially a lot of people like to say, oh, this is the big plans, this is what we're gonna do, but the thing is, like, yo, we've been doing it. And like, you know what I mean, like, you'll come out, see us in our element, and you know what I mean, that's what we do, not necessarily to show face, but it's because we just genuinely care about the people of the community, the obviously hip hop culture, and building something that is true to the roots but also sustainable, you know?
Yeah. And sustainability, like, I often like think about the forward, right? Like, okay, next 5 years, next 10 years, like my legacy, like after I time. But I don't often. I'm trying to think more on like the past as like a steady, solid time block that actually needed to happen for today, this year, to feel like what it's like and have some kind of consistency and steadiness to that rock. And you know, yeah, people have shown up. Many people have shown up once or twice for you know, a few weeks at a time. Some like were heavily invested, involved in the crew and the scene for a long time. But then like priorities, of course, like especially within the, you know, COVID circumstances, it was hard to like really devote your time into like hip hop culture, breaking scene. But when I realized that, like, okay, people actually, like, some people do continue to show up because they feel genuinely connected and appreciative of, like, you know, what's here. That's what makes me realize, like, no, like, there's plenty of that to be grateful for, and that's, as long as that's there, we're fine where we're going. And I think, like, it's never about, like, us making a big name, like, to be, well, like, wrapped, like, outside of London. It's more like, well, who are the people in London that are actually, like, choosing to invest into the core of it.
But yeah, it's something we talk about, like, marketing, on the marketing side of things, too, when you talk about brand building. And obviously, like, a lot of those things are buzzwords and, like, in theory, and big companies talk about it, but there is, like, an authentic side of it where when you are building, like, a company and you're looking at the internal culture and how that brand resonates with the product or whatever the services that is being offered is a huge thing, because you're building the belief in the people themselves that are representing the company, so that now it's in terms of, instead of thinking of something as I need to sell this or like put myself in the shoes of a salesperson to do this, then it now becomes, no, I just genuinely believe in what we are offering, and it's no longer a sales pitch anymore. It's just, I'm talking about my lifestyle.
Yeah. Measuring impact, that kind of like positive influence on the community.
Yeah.
Sometimes doesn't need to have that, like, the number of the budget attached to it to truly represent like this value, right?
Yeah.
Not everything's monetary, and like everyone, of course, like does chip in ways that's financially, like, you know, helpful and viable for the studio, but like we appreciate the time and the actual effort and the energy people put into it, because, you know, it's like you believe in it because you believe in yourself. Like, if you're not like your own fan, like in the process too, like how are you gonna say like I believe in others, right? Like that's such a big, like
it starts from a place of self-love first.
Yes.
And when you have enough self-love, then you can emanate it to others. But
right.
It has to start with that belief in yourself, and at least going through the reps of a certain activity, like especially in hip hop, when you have gone through the dance, the reps of being the DJ, the reps of writing lyrics or whatever it is, then now you're committing to that student of the craft, and you're paying attention and pumping love into your own journey first, right?
Right. And was it James Baldwin, I think, said like love has never been a popular movement, and like the world is held on together tightly by like very few people that represent like love and passion or something like that, something along those lines. But it makes you think too, because like, yeah, I mean, like we talk love and like it's all out there, but truly if you look around, like there's just as much of this like fake love / hate where like you feel it. And again, happy versus not happy is such a simple way to make a nuanced, like complex issue very black and white in one way or the other. Like it's living with like negative thoughts. It's being able to manage and go through the traumatic experiences and like talk about it so that you can heal and heal others instead of just like, oh, I've got my certificate to be able to like teach and coach others. So like y'all must listen to me before I'm like all better myself. And I think that's
coaching mindset.
Yeah, and that's everywhere too, because like people also glorify like people in position of power.
Yeah, so it's always the question of like, how do I rise to power in the fastest way? That's always what people are trying to do, right? Rather than like truly earning a leadership spot or just straight up just committing to the craft of what you believe in first without the need of any external validations towards like what value you have to offer to the world. Yeah, because I always think about this too, where like people will decide your value. Like if you are moving in a way that's authentic and purposeful to yourself, then people decide what value that has on their own lives. But it just becomes so convoluted when people lose themselves in trying to decide what they are, or like put a label on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, I think we've talked about this too with like your ideal, true, perceived self, where you can talk a big game, but if that's not how people perceive you based on your actions and previous, encounters, then you're just writing a fancy bio for a certain like social network media platform.
Yeah.
And like I poke fun of that, poke fun at like social media as well. It's all about me.
Yeah.
Social media, like you feel like very much need.
I need ya.
Yeah.
I need ya.
You need those likes.
Well, curious on your behalf. So you mentioned something about showing up, and like I want to get like your thoughts of like why do you feel like what motivates you to show up here and like the frequency that you have.
Oh man,
the mic, bro.
Drop it.
Oh, man.
Unless you say something crazy.
No, I probably won't. I might. Eventually. It take me a while though,
Build up.
I gotta get through the grime,
I gotta be a student first, then I drop the mic.
I don't know what it is. I think like the fact that you guys are here every day, like at these hours, like really surprises me in a way. I don't know if that don't take that in a negative way. But I think like your consistency is pretty that's a big part of it. I think what you guys offer is really just like you guys showing up every day for something that is essentially like an artistic or creative passion is a rare thing that you see people also like share as well. There's some people that like indulge in their whatever artistic endeavors and they're pretty like isolated in that, which is fine as well. But then like it's not something that I would necessarily latch onto. Like, I've always thought like
it's like a gated social community sometimes. Like you go to these events to socialize and then like it's only like it's cryptic how people find out about it too, how it gets like
to be like a certain way to like kind of fit in or whatever. You guys are kind of
and they're constantly vetting people too to be like, yo, dude, does this guy belong?
Like, are you cool enough or whatever?
Like,
I feel like you can be like such a dork and come through and you'd be like, no, it's all good. There's a place for you or something. And you'd be like,
put you on the table.
I think like it's like an openness, a kindness as well. Of course, you guys have your like, while sticking to like your own philosophies, like what you guys think is important, like sticking to like roots that other people maybe don't maybe share or understand, but doesn't mean that you like treat those people with, again, like a disrespect or make them feel like outsiders because they don't know about like, I don't know, like the origin of every single hip hop beat or bit of culture, right? And I appreciated that, even as someone that really does like appreciate like hip hop culture, in that like I feel like I was raised on varying degrees of hip hop culture, like various aspects of hip hop culture, like since I could form memories, you know, like pre-pubertal, right? And it sort of hadn't really stopped. I don't know, like an open-mindedness with just like, oh, like it's not just dance either, like, you know, kind of all-encompassing, which is also really original, I think, like, and rare, right? To be like, oh, it's a dance studio, right? But like also like but you don't call it a dance studio,
then like at
right?
the same time, like
But you come in and it's very much a dance studio, right?
We have
but you know, and I would say like you know when I refer to it, I say like I'm going to the dance studio as opposed to like you know, I generally don't say like I'm going to the 519 School of Hip Hop. Like I didn't want to hear that whole, you know, I don't. School. I'm actually going to I'm actually going to LHSC right now. The London Hip Hop Science Center. What do you do?
Hip Hop School Center.
Hip Hop School Center. Oh man, see, I like that.
Actually, a school.
It's not LHSC. It's actually not the LHSC you know of, although I do work at LHSC. I think showing up, being there consistent, and it's like every night, every day, and like being open to all different aspects of like both like the freestyle nature of it, which is the first thing that I saw, which is like very intimidating. Because like I'm just like, I don't know, imagine like getting Natalie to just be like, okay, freestyle. Like right now. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know, just like an example, right? Like it'd just be like the degree of discomfort that would just start like bubbling in your entire body. It's like I've never done this before, I have no idea like what I'm supposed to sound like or do. And that was actually like one of my first experiences here. But at the same time, you're doing like choreography, and also talking about how like that's not the focus, but we can do some, you know? And then sometimes you're also just like, I'm maybe not dancing, I just want to listen to music, right? And very much like you know, bring the energy that you want without like forcing it upon anybody else, like, you know? I even saw that like a lot of times with like, you know, I haven't seen David in a while, but like when David was here, like sometimes he'd be doing his own thing, right? And that would be like, okay, you know, it wasn't like, there was no like pressure, but at the same time, you could foster different types of energy. So like, I don't know. Plus, I mean, the space is a huge plus. I could go on for days. Like, I don't know.
And look at this wall.
You guys got a kitchen, a microwave now?
Microwave be hot.
Oh yeah, I think like it takes a lot of commitment to also like be here every night when you got a kid at home too. Honestly, like I don't know, that's tough. Where's my excuse? You know what I mean? So like that's I think is pretty. It's something to look up to. I think like for someone that doesn't like maybe have a family that thinks like, you know, is intimidated by the fact that like, oh, I can't like do my own thing anymore when I have a child. Of course, there are sacrifices that need to be made, but I mean, I would guess that you're not an absentee father. I could be touching on a sore spot, but you know what I mean?
9 to 5.
9 to 5, man.
No, yeah, it's very like it's 519, 9 to 5, 5 to 9.
5 to 9.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's also a place that runs like 5 to 9. Like that's pretty much what you guys do, just to some degree, right? And I don't know, like the fact that you teach kids. Like I don't see the kids that much, but when I do, it's like pretty impressive. I think like dealing with kids is also like something that most people don't do, right?
Yeah.
And like the amount of like patience like and character that develops in the adults, I think, is also like something that's rare.
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of adults, I think, are just like big children, like most adults.
Yeah.
Like act like that.
Some embrace it, some are in denial. Some like fight it.
I think like socially, a lot of people are just like they didn't have like somewhere like this to go to, so they didn't develop. They stopped at like age 7, and then now they're like 40, and they're just like dealing with a big 7-year-old.
And like you have these like traditional, you know, typical sports that are more group based, like to just kind of replace everything social, everything competitive, everything, and then it's just like
it can be very toxic. Like most other like environments, a lot of extracurriculars, competitive in a way that's not necessarily like there's a place for being competitive, and I think you guys like also demonstrate that through like your own abilities and your history as well. Like to be able, you, in a way, like to be a leader, it's like you have to be able to kind of do those things so that you kind of like silence like haters and doubters as well, even though that's not necessarily the focus. Right? It's like technically you don't have to be the best to be a good teacher at something, but it does help your case. You know what I mean?
And like, a lot of people say that too, like, those that don't do well will teach, or those that can't teach well, and vice versa. But I think that's also such a generalized, like, observation too, right? And I doubt that in myself too, with like my own credibility a lot of times. It's just me being in my own head too. But like in a place like London especially, where like I honestly don't think there's another like legitimate street dance crew that would check us.
Oh, I can't.
So
I don't know where you would look. Like,
yeah, so if it's not that, then it's like all the other.
Wait,
Where? Birth.
Ilet Birth?
Yeah.
Is that
all over there?
St.
Thomas.
Self-proclaimed, man. I love birth.
Wait, there's someone. Wait.
No, they named themselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, another studio.
No.
That's
Oh, like the studio that's happening right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the youngins. I thought there was another crew called Ilet Birth. I was like, seriously?
It's like
just birth now.
will to birth.
Another thing, like in terms of like why I wanted to come back, like I saw like the way that you, when I first came, and I came with Sarah as well, right? And like I feel like it, like in my head, it is like so awkward to like teach like adults how to dance, like you know what I mean? Like it's like so, it's just so. It's so difficult, like
it is,
and for you guys, it was kind of just like whatever. It was like almost like a sense of patience, right? It's like, okay, I gotta do this. I gotta like you had like the bounce rock groove, like like you still always talk about it, right? And it's like a recurring theme. It wasn't just like, oh, it's because you're new, but it did help, right? Mm-hmm. And I could see that being like it like required some like patience, both to listen and to like administer that lesson to some degree. Right? Because like for like someone that has never done anything like that, like someone that's like hasn't maybe even like listened to hip hop or seen someone dance to hip hop, that's essentially like what you're like. You have like the ability to teach that, and I thought that was like, I don't know. It's as opposed to just like another what's that fucking game? Just another dance in like the Just Dance or something like that, which is what I would have more so expected, right? To be like, oh, but then so I don't know. I think it's like a special energy, like so there's like a good energy that's patient, like your own obvious like skill, the fact that you're there for kids and adults, you show up every day. You guys are like fresh every day as well. I was like, man, it made me feel like I was like, like there's a certain point in my life where like, I was like, I like to like, like wear clothes and stuff, and then wear clothes.
Sometimes
I'm wearing rags, like I'm in rags, like to then I was just like, all right, just whatever, as long as it's cotton, it's fine, And then I was like, but you guys like show up, and then there's like this extra zest for life, you know what I mean? Like and then like so that I was like, that's it. You show up looking like fresh, and that's like an energy that's like, it's like unrelenting. It's like not like there's not one day where you're just like, maybe there is like to you guys, but to me, it's like like you guys are showing up every day, like head to toe, from the energy to like even like down to the way you look, right? And I think like that's like I don't know, it's hard to do, like so I realize it's an energy that I feel like I was like, wow, like what a shame it would be to like pass up on such a special place. I don't know, maybe not everybody's like that. I think like it would, like a lot of people would find it to be very special.
But at the same time, though, we're not for everybody too. Like, that's something to acknowledge as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think like the way you've observed on like a lot of those things, I think goes over to a lot of people's heads too, right? They're not looking for certain things. They're not like allowing themselves to like, maybe it's the timing of it. They're not ready for it. They don't have the kind of like emotional availability to feel like, oh, this is what I need. I
Well, because
connect.
you have to be in a vulnerable state as well, right?
Yeah.
To be like, oh, like this is something that like I would want to have. Like, you know, that means like you have to recognize within yourself that like, oh, there's something missing, or
Yes.
or look at yourself with that vulnerability. I think a lot of people are not ready or down for that, which is fine.
And then you get to be selective in when you choose, right? And like that's what Greg's saying too, and I agree. It's not for everyone. You can say like dance should be for everyone,
Yeah.
but not everyone's gonna be in that state, you know, to be in a celebratory state all the time.
And it's almost an idea too that like I've been pondering on the idea of that, like, to accept a question is to accept a challenge. And then it's the fact that some people are just not open to be questioned, you know what I mean?
Right.
And thereby not open for challenges in general. And I remember this one story that there was this keynote speaker back in university just talking about like cultural education, where she was mentioning how it's such a common response to have, like, let's say someone asked a question about a culture, but then it's immediately met with, why would you ask something like that? Or like a dismissal of like, oh my gosh, that is offensive, that you would even ask that about like a stereotype that you might have heard. But to now flip that narrative now is when someone does ask those questions, to actually invite it with like, yeah, I'm okay to be challenged. Like, I'm a person that's gone through that enough already, and I'm always willing to meet that where it needs to be. Obviously, you can have the intention being completely off, and that's another story. But when the intention behind it is pure, and someone's just simply asking a question, that's how we educate ourselves and commit to the journey of educating others.
I mean, that requires a lot of patience. Okay,
Yeah.
so another thing was like, I realized like, okay, so you're like, oh, it's not for everybody, and not, I would say most people are just gonna come and show up, be like, okay, like despite you guys pouring your energy into it, we'll be like, okay, like I'm gonna like pretend to be like, okay, this is cool, and then like never show up again, which is I imagine happens all the time.
Bro, like I'm like,
Which is
constantly, daily struggle is me coming to terms with
But the fact that like you're putting in and so like I was like, you don't know like
whether it's
that I
an
give a
email
shit,
form,
right?
Instagram message,
Yeah, just be
or
like, hey, like I'm
face
interested
to
or whatever,
face,
right?
yeah.
So then I came here, and then it wasn't like you were just like, just another bum I gotta fucking waste my energy on or something, right? Which is like, honestly, like it would, like, you know, that would have been reasonable because I imagine just based on your experience, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't, right? And I think like that's so easy to do because why wouldn't you, right? Because like every other person, but you still treated it like, you know, this is a new person in my studio, and I'm just gonna treat it as if they are interested, as if like they do give a shit, even though like you had no reason to believe that I care. I probably showed up in like, I was in like, I don't know, just like trousers and like a t-shirt, like I'm just passing through, you know what I mean? Like you had no idea I was gonna come back, and you're just like, I'm gonna give this person the same, like, you know, the same energy as I would give to like, you know, like an interested, you know, 9-year-old coming in for the first time. I'm not gonna just be like, you know, this guy's a bum or whatever, right? Don't like make, you know, because it's very easy to, and it's to protect yourself, to set those kinds of boundaries with these people passing by, like showing fake interest or whatever, right? Or not fake, but it's just like the interest that's not necessarily like, they're not gonna match your energy or anything like that. But you didn't take that negatively. You're just like, you came through and you're just like, I'm gonna put myself like that vulnerable, and right away I was like, okay. Like my impression coming in was like, this is gonna be so corny. Like that was my first thought. I swear. I'm not. I was like, I can't go there. It's mad corny, you know. And then I came. I was like, oh man, like these guys are like so nice. Like, you know, like right. And it's like, and it was genuine. It wasn't corny. It wasn't like, oh, like this is like the script or whatever. Right. You know. So that was part of I was like, oh, I'm gonna, and you guys are here, and then I was like, you guys are here every day. You're like, yeah, what's the big deal, you know? And I was like, okay, let's see. Again, it was like a challenge, because then if I say to myself like, oh, I'm gonna show up, and then I don't, like that's embarrassing for myself. That's something that I wouldn't want to face either, right? So to make that commitment, I think it's scary for
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
for a lot of people too.
And once again, not everyone like has the ability to even say, like verbalize like that, follow through with that, and even like be, self-aware to catch yourself if and when you are making a more like over committing and that kind of stuff. And I think like how you show up, like showing up, yes, but then we get to ask the further questions of like, how are you showing up? Why are you showing up? In what ways and when and where? How, like, bringing food or like for these conversations. I think those hows and those whys are the intricacies and nuances of like real encounter that's needed to make this community what it is. It can't just be like programmed heartbeat, like we talked about rhythm earlier. It can't just be like us showing up because we're making X amount of dollars and treating it like a part-time job or like a full-time gig. It's more about authenticity behind these interactions that mean just as much, if not more, than learning a dance combo. But I think people tend to make too big of a deal of like smashing a dance routine or saying they are part of a dance community, or I go to these art events, as part of my recreational thing to like offset like my other part of my life. And it's not, again, I think like we have the tendency to simplify a lot of these things and need a little more like introspection and like deep dives and conversations. And when you said earlier to maybe not fake interest, but I think we've got to a point where we as like a human race are okay, think it's okay to be fake nice, right? Like fake a lot of the interactions, like, like some really do try to be nice to people and try to go above and beyond. But I think like the typical like, oh my god, that's good for you, like that sort of like we get it all the time, right? Like, oh you guys are still doing this in your 30s, or I think like there's a lot of that social interaction that just you don't get checked on it a lot, right? But in places like this, like we like welcome that. Like, what do you think a cypher call out is? Like, it's invitation to be like, yo, check me, put me in my place. If I'm throwing something I'm working on, I crash, call me out.
Question and answer.
I need to know where this is at. I need to know like how you perceive me. And I think these are the things that we're, again, like talking more constantly and frequently. So we just wanted to put it on camera.
Episode 1.
I think people crave that
no
too.
cut, and we're just gonna
hard.
upload it.
It's hard. And people crave like that, like, that reflection of like, hey, like the being called out thing.
Yeah.
Like, how am I doing? They need another set of eyes on it, because otherwise there's no way, like in the echo chamber of your own head, it's difficult to grow.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also scary.
It is, yeah.
And it's interesting too, because we've been talking to Nadeem about this too lately, right? Where when you commit to being the artist, then you're automatically embracing this perfectionist level of engagement with the craft, right? But at the same time, people are not always looking for the outcome and the final product of said artistry, but then they're looking for like the process of how you arrive there, and that oftentimes has way more value than the piece itself, right?
Yeah. It is validating to have a piece though, right? And I think that's why people rush to nail a combo or whatever, because then people will be like, outside of that, they're like, what did you learn? Or like, what did you do
It's
today?
when you have to tell others.
Yeah, right.
It's when you have to show it on social media. When you have to like.
Well, because then
quantify
you
the
ask
experience.
yourself, you're like, what did I?
Right.
What am I? Like again, like validating to some kind of like identity of like, oh, like I go to a dance studio or whatever. I learned a skill. Like to tell yourself that, like people, it would be hard to understand that you like do something without necessarily like that specific outcome. You're like working on it,
And it's also recognizing what the value is in the first place. You know what I mean? Because let's say like, with London Museum performance, then participants quickly realize that the main thing here is the community. It's not about the dance steps or how flawless you did it or what was the details like.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of like, yo, we're doing this because of there's a sheer love that we're trying to emanate about this, and whether that appeals to you in the way that you want to come to the studio, but or you just want to admire the connection that we built internally, so be it. You know what I mean?
I mean, the outcome was pretty good though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dope as hell. Dope as hell.
And like those are the types of, you know, performances and community connections we want to do more of.
Yeah.
Like, that's what FC London reached out, right? So I did tell them we can probably find like a date or two. So in May and June, maybe one or two, we were thinking of putting a squad together to do a short performance during their home matches. And FC London.
Oh, is that like a football club?
Local, yeah, soccer, football. And you know, we've been.
Can I kick
we
it?
just use that song and nothing else.
It's repeat.
And I think like that's where we realize now too, like putting things aside that, you know, get us to feel a certain way about like the world of choreography and typical like dances, entertainment, and TikTok and all that kind of like bullshit and the noise. It is an opportunity to show up and be ourselves and have people make the decision for themselves, you know?
I really appreciated the fact that you weren't like just fully shitting on other aspects of like and your focus, right, as well. Like no, like seriously, because you know, like you know, because for someone that's really new, it can be intimidating for it to just be so open.
Yeah,
right.
it's true.
It's scary. It's like, how do you get, you know, if you really want to be like, you know, inclusive and things like that to some degree, it's like, oh, like sometimes like people want to learn, but it's too vast or something, right? To just be like, go on a anything, no wrong answers. And it's like, okay, well then I don't know any right answers.
When we ask, like, what do you want to work on? The amount of times we get like, I don't know, it's like,
that's tough too, right? To not bring anything to like the, you know, like what are you doing here, right? You know, I'm here to find purpose. Well, I mean, that's
no purpose.
Yeah.
All passion, no purpose.
No potential.
No potential. That's no purpose.
I don't know. It's
What's your what? What's your why?
Why? Why?
Why are you missing from the 26 letters? No.
like for myself, like that why question is probably like I mean, I've always liked the hip hop music that is like never ended. There's never been a break from that. What else? I think like the dance itself, I mean, it looks cool, but I guess like does everybody think that? I think everybody thinks like when someone's doing a sick dance, that's pretty universal. Relatively, like that's sick. You know?
Yeah.
And then breakdancing in particular, like
not everyone I think admits it or even vocalizes like you do. Because again, we're living that so much. We've been in situations where like like out in the streets too. Like people walk by. Like, what do you mean? Like we're breaking right now. You don't even like think that's out of the ordinary. You can just go on about your day because public perception.
And then you think about the keyboard warrior culture too, and it's like sometimes the way they articulate it because of jealousy is in a whole other way. You know what I mean? So
so I'm trying to identify my own bias there. Like, does everybody think this is cool? Because this looks pretty cool. Like, I don't have like a reason why that looks sick. You know? Like, I think like, you know, for example, like I think like something that I might, you know, something that I was doing previously more consistently. It's like I was like, I always want to be active, right? And like I think like that, like this type of dance like really fit into. I think any type of dance really fits into that because most dance is pretty like demanding on your body. I mean, it's like an expression through your body, right? But this one in particular, like I don't know, I feel like it probably has like a specific appeal to like men because of like the power and stuff like that, you know. So I wonder if there's like a little bit of my own bias there as well, but probably also because it might be a little bit limiting at first for some, like from a strength perspective.
Yeah,
you know,
it's discouraging for so many people.
So many,
kids, a lot of the girls, and like young, you know, like students, adults are like, oh, I haven't done this, and like whatever. It's like we get it from all angles, right? And because like I personally too, I mean, like Greg's definitely like been pumping a lot of like experience and years into this, but once I started to teach as like a dance teacher, educator, like, oh almost 17 years ago. It's a long time, right? I've just gone through different phases of like, oh, I'm gonna make people love hip hop, break dance, to like, oh, I'm really trying to educate them on like the culture of hip hop. I really don't care if they win like a trophy or not. I want them to love hip hop. I want them to get to know the community. I want them to be confident. I want them to have a voice. These are all like far from what dance studio directors have in place for their dance teachers, because they want them to deliver recital combo, comp solos, and all these technical things without ever considering mental health, community health, and all that wellness shit that really should be the core of it.
And to me, that kind of like almost, it sounds and feels more like what, like what, I don't know, this is my own bias and experience as well, like a martial arts type studio, like, a dojo style type thing, where it's like, you don't need to just be like, you're not losing if you don't kick everybody's ass, you're here for other reasons.
Always a student, man.
Right? Like there's definitely, like you'd hope the sensei could kick some ass, right?
Yeah.
But, that's not necessarily the only focus, right? That's like kind of like a vessel for teaching like all these other things, which you guys kind of encompassed right from the beginning, and really kind of showed it through, again, the emphasizing those other things, even through your slogan, stay hungry, stay humble. It's kind of like, it can be cheesy if you're not either of those things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's just a line, right?
Hungry and humble.
Yeah, but and it's difficult to do because that's not an easy thing to sell, right?
No, and it's ironic too, because Stay Hungry Humble was like the logo, the actual name of the brand that came out of the need to have something tangible, right? Like we were going to schools like even like 12 years ago, and yeah, sometimes we would have like crew shirts, but like we wanted our own slogan. We wanted our own like message that was more universal than like breakdancing crew, and people start to ask for it. Like, I want to rep your gear. I want to rep that message, and then that became that catalyst for like us just putting shit together, making it an actual thing instead of just keeping it in that ether of like, oh, it's just ideas.
Yeah.
And for me, it was 2016 that, it was the year I met Murray too, and then 2017 is the year that we launched the brand of Stay Hungry Humble. And that was after like realizing, a lot of people in the crew and the whole studio were talking about the message and like the need to have some kind of presence in the like the merch side of things, but no one was like taking a lead initiative on it. And I was working at the bank at the time, RBC, and then I had T-shirt time hookup at the White Oaks Mall. So during my breaks, I would just send them the new design, walk over, get a sample made, and like that's the access that I had to be able to tap into my passion, which was only viable too because I had the steadiness of like having a 9 to 5 and some sort of stability in the income to take some risk with my creative journey. And then that's probably when I start to feel like, I am gonna start betting on myself beyond just like me being a member of a crew, but being an individual, like whether it's an artist, entrepreneur, educator, to just do things that felt needed to be done, and then ask for help along the way, and help people out along the way with the message too. And that eventually just evolved to SHH, School of Hip Hop. 509 on it.
I mean, I think you guys are really accountable to that to slogan as well.
Half an hour conversation. Half an hour combo.
Half an hour. 30 for 30.
Thank you. And again, man, you continue to show up with your consistency and commitment is what genuinely drives us. And it inspires us to keep moving forward. And moving forward sometimes it's just like checking in on one another and taking a step back to realize and assess where you're at. And we like maybe one final thought on this before we close for the night is like there's a lot of focus on like vertical growth and like everyone wants to be like up high, move up, but expanding like horizontally and realizing like we just need 1, 2, 3 people to do this like ground level work and make it look a little bit more well balanced, and like having those kids, man, like the 3 of those students driving from St. Thomas to even out what we're doing here, self-sustaining, like that's the dream work, man.
I mean, but you guys are showing up. I think that really comes back to that, because like, I don't know, like showing up, but also like showing up to like your philosophies as well, or like the things that you may preach or whatever, you know, that you're always a student, or like, you know, like the stay hungry, stay humble thing. It's just like accountability. I feel like kids really pick up on like when you're being like fake, you know, like you're like they can pick up on your bullshit.
Yeah.
So if they like you, you know, it's like it's hard to identify why, but it's just like, okay, like this person's a loser. Like they just tell me all these things and they're just a loser, you know? And I feel like if you guys were like that, like it's very easy to pick up on that.
Yeah.
And the kids love you guys. So I think like that really, to me, that's very like validating as well. So are you guys out?
So hopefully.
All right.
Thank you for letting me
Peace out.
to your studio.
How was the session?
Good, really good.
Hey.
Ill at birth.
Ill at birth? Oh,
Ill at
so
birth.
they're ill at birth?
Yeah.
Okay.
She smells. Dang. Why you gonna call her out like that? Going in for that, she smells.
She said.
Oh, I get 2 mics.
Hey.
Stereo sound.
Oh, yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Peace out. Peace out.
Time is 46 minutes.
Peace. Episode 1. This is
We
why.
might not cut this.
This is why, bro.
All right. Till next time. Peace. Thanks for joining us.
You're.
Yerp.